Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Pokemon Showdown Generation 1 Random Battles. Hopefully, you checked out the first episode, which is currently in the archives of my YouTube channel and in a playlist, so if you haven't, go check it out. Now, today's episode, which as mentioned is the second of my Pokemon Showdown Generation 1 Random Battles series, um, it went well, but we had a few people who quit again. Seems to be a common theme with Pokemon Showdown, but we'll get into that in a moment. In the meantime, if you like this video, be sure to give it a like, a thumbs up, comment, subscribe to the channel. We just got our first subscriber. We just got some early comments, so that was nice to see. And yeah, let's get into this. But first, in the last episode, I asked the viewers or subscribers who your favorite Gen 1 Pokemon was. I'm still curious, so if you haven't already given your answer, please do. I mentioned before I have too many to name, but I'd love to hear who you like and what's your favorite line. All right, so as we start looking for an opponent, like I said, these battles were interesting. We had a few people who left, and I'm curious. I know the second person who left, why they did. It was pretty clear, but the first person, I'm not sure if it was because the strategy wasn't necessarily something they enjoyed. Because I know it can be annoying when spam heal or sleep over and over. So I'm not sure if it was something I did that caused them to leave or if they just felt like they weren't going to win, so they gave up. It could really be either way. Regardless, as you saw, I started with a Mew, who obviously is a very I won't say very powerful, but it's a fairly powerful Pokemon, and obviously rare. But what worked in my favor here is he could heal. So I was able to use the paralysis and heal, which let me whittle away the Dodrio, and it became obvious pretty quickly that I wasn't going to lose because I could just heal and they would get stuck by, you know, paralysis. And I definitely feel for them because I know how annoying that can be. And it was just nice to be on this side for once. So they quickly gave up, which, hey, a win's a win, but doesn't make for the best video. So we decided to do another video, or another match for this video. And just as a heads up, my voice might sound a little off because I'm a little under the weather. However, hopefully my sounds is slightly better. I know that I don't have the best audio equipment. I've made mention of it in the previous video and in the comments, but I'm doing the best I can in that regard. Hopefully the sound comes off a little better this time around while we're waiting for an opponent. And here we go. Now this battle I really enjoyed, even though the opponent ultimately left once again. Um, Again, I had RNG in my favor, so status elements and people missing moves really did help me. But on the flip side, I think I actually played this quite well too, at least reasonably well. Again, I'm not trying to claim I'm competitive, but for my level and for what I'm trying to do, just have fun. I think I did this well. Abra and Dragonite is such a hilarious mixed match in theory, mismatch, but the get the Thunder Wave off, Paralyze really, really works in my favor in this gen. A lot of that comes to do with you don't have things like Magic Bounce, and you don't have I can't remember the ability, but the ability where if I hit Static or something on someone and then it'll hit me too. Then so yeah, that works in my favor. And then they just kept missing moves. They were missing Submission. They were missing Blizzard. They just had some bad luck when it comes to that, which again, worked in my favor. And Abra of all Pokemon just was very useful. So I got rid of the Charmander, and it obviously wasn't much. But following the Charmander, oh god, a hilarity of errors, just bad luck on both ends. You're about to see in a minute. He's going to send out a Hypno, and Hypno and Abra is a pretty cool combination, a lot of psychic power here, and once again, Thunder Wave, because that's the strategy I've been using. I hope spamming it isn't too annoying for people, but I mean, I work with what I've got, right? Anyway, so I'll switch Abra out, and then I'll bring out Spearow. And the reason I brought out Spearow is because I didn't really know what I wanted to use, and I didn't care that much about having Spearow. So if Spearow, took a hidden loss, it wasn't the end of the world, and maybe I could pop off some damage. What ended up happening was they put me to sleep. So they put me to sleep while they're paralyzed, and they get me with one hit, but soon I'm sleeping and they're paralyzed. I'm sleeping and they're paralyzed, and this just kept happening. We both had bad luck, and Sleep is terrible in Gen 1. That much I know because it doesn't have the 5-turn maximum or whatever it is. But they hit me hard with a Psychic when I woke up. But I was able to get some damage off with the Drill Peck, but they quickly got rid of my Spearow. Again, not the end of the world. I wasn't going in with Spearow expecting to do a ton of damage. I brought Chansey back out, and Chansey has been kind of an MVP for me in this. Abra and Chansey, which was a surprising combination because you wouldn't think so. Chansey unfortunately, got paralyzed, but it's so bulky that I can take a lot of hits, thankfully. And being able to take those hits have helped tremendously. So yeah, Chansey and Hypno, they went pretty well for me. Hypno was about to be taken out, but they swapped out. I'm not really sure why they did because it didn't have that much health to begin with. Then they brought out Seeking and a big blizzard, but again, I'm so bulky, it didn't matter. And I went back to my routine of Thunder Wave, and I made sure to heal up. And they did not seem to like that strategy too much because shortly after that, they would quit, which again is unfortunate. I hope my strategies aren't like so annoying it's making people quit. But again, I gotta make do with what I have. If I can heal, I'm gonna heal. If I can paralyze, I'm gonna paralyze. I know stats effects are annoying though. Anyways, time for the last battle of this session. And this one I can say for a fact, my opponents did not leave, which was greatly appreciated. So one thing I do, which is kind of a problem, is with these random battles, I don't often inspect my team enough before I start. I'm just in a hurry to go, 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 because I don't like to wait and I don't like to make other people wait. But this time around, I tried to make sure I looked at my team and saw what I had, just so I could plan ahead at least a little bit. Blizzard hit hard, and did some big damage, but then I got confused, which confusion can be very annoying in these games. They can drive me absolutely crazy or absolutely batty. Anyway, but it went moderately well. Raticate, I feel like Raticate's an underrated Pokemon. I feel like it doesn't get enough love. Actually, I feel that way about both of these. So anyway, following the Hyper Beam, which was unfortunate, I was able to take it out with a Body Slam once it snapped out of confusion. And then out came Pinsir. Pinsir is another Pokemon that I feel like is underrated. I've always loved its design. Actually, I kind of preferred Pinsir to Scyther. Not to say it was a better Pokemon in battle, but I just preferred the design. Unfortunately, there's not much I could do with Pinsir. My health was too low from the Hyper Beam, so I just popped off a Hyper Beam of my own to cause as much damage as I could, and then it caused some recoil damage when it took me out. And next I brought out Lickitung, who, frankly, I don't use that often in pretty much any game, so I don't know too much about how to use it, except its moveset kind of just felt like a normal Pokemon from Gen 1. It didn't stand out one way or another. Next came out Arbok, who I love, and I love its design. Unfortunately, I didn't play this part the best. I kept going for Body Slams, even though I knew Lickitung wasn't going to survive, but I kept going with Body Slams, hoping that I could get the paralysis off. In the end, the last Body Slam, I should have just gone for a Hyper Beam, but instead I went for another Body Slam thinking, hey, maybe I'll get the paralysis. I didn't, so I never got to do the big damage of the Hyper Beam, which is disappointing. But I guess if the paralysis worked, I would be telling a different story, so it is what it is. Following that, I wasn't really sure who to choose. I ultimately went with a Pinsir of my own, after taking theirs out, and I decided, hey, maybe I could set up a little bit. I'm not the type who always sets up. Maybe I should set up more than I do, but unfortunately I got glared anyway. So, that's fun. Anyway, I did get to set up a little bit, not as much as I'd like, but, a little bit. And Hyper Beam's already a very strong move, so you combine the two, and Arbok had no chance. I was able to take Arbok out pretty easily here. And, that definitely worked in my favor. The glare is unfortunate. It absolutely drives me crazy, but it is what it is. Opponent was taking a little while to attack, which isn't a big deal, but when you're recording a video, people don't want to just sit there and wait for stuff to happen, so that was a little annoying, but it is what it is. They could have had lag. I had lag at one point in this video, so I definitely understand that. Actually, I think it's about to come up in just a second. My computer froze, because I'm working on some old junky gear. I don't have the fancy setup so many YouTubers have, I don't have a big desktop computer. I don't have dual monitor. I don't even have a good mic. So what you see is kind of what you get. Anyway, they sent out Electrode, and I ended up sending out Bulbasaur. And again, it was just a battle of trying to hope RNG works in both of our favors or either of our favors. Um, I don't know, Bulbasaur. I love Bulbasaur. It's actually my favorite starter of the Generation One. But obviously, Bulbasaur against a bunch of fully evolved Pokemon isn't necessarily going to work in my favor. So I had to bulk up here. I had no choice. Or I say bulk up, but basically beef up my team by using Sword Stance. And it worked. I obviously Razor Leaf wouldn't be boosted from it. I don't think Grass type's a physical move in Gen 1. I might be wrong on that, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But the plus side is I had Body Slam. And Body Slam was going to do a lot of damage if I wouldn't stay paralyzed. But, of course, before I could kill it, send out Snorlax. But despite how beefy and tanky Snorlax is, I still took half of it out with just one Body Slam. So the sword definitely worked in my favor, and the setup definitely worked, but he self-destructed. So basically all of that buffing I did was essentially for no reason. But no reason or not, in the end, he still only has two Pokemon, and I still have Raichu, which is pretty key at this point in the game, because Raichu is a strong Pokemon, especially with the Gyarados, which is double weak to Electric. Now, at this point, I didn't think his Electric could do much to me, but he surprised me with Toxic. So in return, I went to the old faithful Thunder Wave to slow it down, which, especially because of how fast Electrode was, I definitely needed to do that. And then I had Surf, and Surf is a very powerful move, even if it's not stab. So I was able to take Electrode out pretty quickly with it, although it did ultimately start damaging me with the Toxic. But in the end, I was able to survive, and before I knew it, here comes Gyarados. I quickly went for a Thunderbolt, and I wasn't sure who would be faster here, but thankfully I was, and I was able to finish it one shot, winning the match. And there you go. That's the second episode of my Pokemon Showdown Generation 1 Random Battle Series done. We had 3 battles and 3 wins. Granted, 2 were from people leaving, but still, I'll take it. Overall, I think I did pretty well. Obviously, I'm not a competitive player, but, it was fun. I definitely would like to keep doing it more in the future. I'm also looking forward to doing more advanced generations that have abilities and items and all that. So that should be fun. And then keep a lookout on the channel because I'll hopefully be starting a Nuzlocke soon. So in the meantime, make sure you subscribe, give a thumbs up, leave some comments, and ultimately, if you subscribe to the channel or follow me on Twitter, you'll be updated on whenever something new comes.